I've had some luck with piston rings for this thing. Pretty exciting. Got a little package in the mail yesterday from Franklin Engineering. Got a specially made set, specially ground set of piston rings for my Mk10 Villiers. Yeah, searched high and low to try and get a standard set, but couldn't find them. These guys made this set for me, or ground them anyway, somehow. Don't know, but anyways, I've tried one in the bore yesterday, took them out of the packet, and the ends actually touch in there. So I'm going to be using my ring file grinder that I've got to gap these properly. First thing I've got to do though is there's a little lip just inside the top of the bore. I don't know if you can hear my fingernail catching on that. It's about, there's nothing on that side, on the valve side, but it starts from either side of those valves really. So I'm just going to die grind that out, just so that when the piston goes in with the new rings, the ends don't touch and smash the rings on the way in. First step's that, then I'll gap the rings, and then we'll look at getting it put back together. So cold day outside, working down here in the shed, doors closed, heater on over my head to keep me warm. So yeah, let's just get this grinder set up, sit this on its side, shove some rags down that bore because I don't want anything to drop down into the sump, into the bottom. Make sure you get it nice and clean when I'm done. So yeah, let's get into it. It was much quicker and easier than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, that lip's mostly gone. Yeah, my little grinder was probably a little bit aggressive, but the piston rings don't come up that high anyway. Where's that piston? So the top ring is, that far down, and the piston doesn't come all the way to the top anyway, so where that lip was where they were coming to. Yeah, we'll just polish that up a little bit with some wet and dry sandpaper. Pull that rag out, make sure I get that out nice and careful to drag that dust out with it, and give it a good clean up, and then we'll probably be ready to gap the rings. Yeah. Compression ring and oiler ring, compression ring and intermediate ring, they're exactly the same, and oiler ring for the bottom. So let's get to gapping, I guess. So feeler gauge here, I've got 8 thousandths or 0.203 of a millimeter, 8 thousandths of an inch. So we're going to sit a ring in, use the piston to square it, and then put the gapper feeler gauge in. At the moment these rings are tight, doesn't want to go in at all. I had one of the compression rings in yesterday and the rings were touching the gap, so the ends of those rings already touching. I've got them made 1/10 oversize. Ends of that ring are touching there, so I'm going to go down just past where I did that sanding and gap them down in the bore a little bit deeper. So yeah, that won't even square off at the moment. Those ends are touching on that ring in there, so it's a bit tricky to get a good camera angle when I'm trying to do this. Maybe I could bring the tripod right around in front of me, then I'll be working over the top of the camera, but anyway, we'll see if we can figure it out, get you a shot once I've got it gapped. I have a ring gap filer that I'll be using. It's pretty aggressive, so I just have to be careful with just turning this by hand, holding the ring tight in there. So let's just yeah, do one, I suppose. I'll do a compression ring first. The idea is to just hold the end gaps and something like that, just a wee bit at a time. Don't want to get too carried away and overgrind them. Like just that little bit. Now they're not overlapping anymore when I put it into the bore, they're actually, yeah, it's a slow process, but we'll get there. Hard to get the camera to focus in there. Let's shine another torch light in so you can see that. Okay, so there's our ring gap. We'd up with a feeler gauge down there. So there's our gap of 8 thousandths. Can I get this to go in? There. So that's what we should have. And if I put one of the old rings in, now one of these I was playing with the ends on and ground it, overground, big time. To find the one that hasn't got shiny ends. I think that's the one I was playing with the grinder. Yeah, that's not it. So this is one of the original rings. And you can see the difference and what the gap was on that one that I've got just towards the front there. Square it up. So the difference from the worn out ring to the new ring. Cool, I'll get these other ones done and then we'll start putting it together. Okay, so she's been a tedious task, and my camera doesn't focus very well into this close-up stuff, so again with the phone torch as an aid. There is the oiler ring gap. How well can you see in there? Probably not very. Lots of shadows, but that's what our gap should be. The oiler ring is actually down to 7th thou, not 8th thou. A little bit tighter than the compression rings. That's just on some advice that I've been given. Make that one 7th thou. Anyways, yeah, so time to go and buy some oil. Ran out of SAE30, so I'll go and buy some oil, and then we can get all of this stuff lubed up, get tidied up, and get it dropped in. Okay, so here we go. Just had a quick coffee break, and been down the shops, bought a new bottle of oil, SAE30. Getting ready to go through the process of putting this piston back in now. So I'll get all set up, and yeah, a few different steps along the way. Loosened off those bolts, those cap bolts. We'll get the rings on. I've had the heater on above me. I've got to get these rings a little bit warmer. My biggest fear is going to be, especially the oiler ring, getting it onto the piston. Yeah, stretching it and getting it on there without breaking it. I mean, it's going over okay. Should be fine. I think I'm worried. I'm sort of too worried for nothing. But yeah, I broke the old one getting it off, so I don't want to break this new one getting it on. But we'll put some oil into a little jar and put the end of the piston into some oil, get it all nice and lubed up, get the rings on, and then slide it into the bore. Then we'll drop the oil pan off the bottom, flip it over, or take the bolts out anyway, flip it over, and line the con rod up onto the crank and bolt it back together. Split pins to go through. Head gasket to go on. I'm reusing the head gasket, and just been and bought some, what do we got, Permatex copper spray gasket, so give that a light spray on either side of the head gasket before we put that back on and bolt that down. I've made a new gasket. This is a new gasket that I've made up that'll go under the oil pan when that goes back on, and we'll run a fine line of gasket sealant around there as well. I've got some RTV stuff. Seal all of that up, and then pretty much we'll leave it overnight. I'll see how I go. I'm going to go up and light the fire because it's getting a bit cold upstairs. So I'll go and get that done, let it sit for a little while, and then maybe later on this afternoon or this evening I might come down and lift the motor back onto the Atom machine sitting over there behind me. But yeah, I'll just time lapse, speed up, whatever you like to call it, and just get this done and back together, eh? Cool. ignition oil pan back on, and yeah, I can already tell this is going to be a huge improvement. Bring that up to top dead center, and there's bugger all movement on that piston like last time, you know, when I took it apart. If you saw the old video, yeah, there was heaps of movement there. So she runs smooth. I just pulled it over with a rope and there's still good spark. I was worried that having the spark plug lead bouncing around like it has been. She's a bit fumey in here because of that wax and grease remover, but I've just given the top of that a wipe down. I've cleaned the top of the cylinder head that's going to go on, and I've also given the gasket a bit of a wipe. So what I'm going to do now is spray that with copper spray. I got this stuff, copper sprayer gasket, so we'll give that a coat on both sides, slap that on top. Can tell which way up it's been, so it looks like it may have actually had a small leak from the head gasket. It's quite sort of carbon and burnt on that side, but that's unusual to me because that's the, can tell from the indentation, right, that this is the side the head's been on, because that side is flat. So any leak has been on the inlet side, but then I guess the spark plug is above the inlet valve, so that makes sense. So that's where the main part of the combustion's been happening, I guess. Don't know, but yeah, let's give this a spray up, put this on, bolt it down, and then might just put the plug in it and wind it over and see how much better the compression is now, because being able to spin it over before, like, it was like opening a doorknob. It was just so easy to turn. There was no resistance, or very little resistance. So yeah, we'll give that a shot. Cool. So compared to what I had before, this is unreal. Throw the spark plug in. It's just put it in loose, and there's actually resistance now. So that's huge to me. This thing's gonna have a whole lot more power. It bounces back against its compression now. Yeah, that's huge. That's awesome. So I'm going to leave it, let it set up for a few hours, let that copper stick in. It's quite surprising walking on the floor where the overspray went from that copper when I sprayed it in here. It's real sticky on the carpet, so yeah, it's going to get a good seal. One of my head bolts is slightly rounded off, so they're all 1/4 inch Whitworth. Had to just change over to a 13, I think I had on here, 13mm. No, what have I got, a 1/2 inch AF on there, sorry, just to snug that one down. Yeah, I can't see the head coming off this again for quite some time, so that's a problem for future me if I have to do that. But yeah, that compression is massive. I'm super stoked with that. So right, okay, let's leave this for a few hours. We'll come back and put the covers on and throw it on the machine a little bit later on this afternoon. Going to light the fire and warm the house up a bit before the kids get home from school. Alrighty, now it's time to get things put back together. That's been sitting there for a good hour and a half, something like that. So just spun this around, got it lifted up to get the wheels off the ground so that I can pull that axle out to get the cover back on this side over here. The other parts are down here under the trailer still. So I'm going to drop the motor on as it is, and then I think I can get the yeah, I can get that side cover on after. So let's yeah, get into it. So we're all back together, bar one bolt. Yeah, redo a couple of things. I initially put the throttle linkage on the wrong way. So one of my fuel tank bracket bolts come around under here into the cowl is missing. See, everything else, when I took it apart, I made a point of putting all the bolts back in, and the screws and stuff, so I wouldn't lose any. It turns out that one has escaped. So yeah, or maybe I'll go back and re-watch the video and stuff, but I was in this area, I've scoured the floor, I've looked under the trailer where I kept the stuff. Yeah, I thought I was real careful this time around and didn't put anything anywhere I had things on those little trays. But anyways, that's not stopping me from starting it. What I'm going to do is open the doors up, move the bikes, and just pull it over by the door a little bit. I've got to put oil and gearbox oil in it and a bit of fuel, and we'll see what happens when we pull the rope. But yeah, turning it by hand now. Whee! We're going to have some fun. That's got heaps of compression now. Heaps. It's actually, before you could just spin that with 2 fingers. Now she's going to be a goer. So that's pretty cool. And I'll just have to, keep an eye out for that bolt. I don't know where it's gone. Everything else is, been cleaned up and swept, and I haven't noticed anything when I swept the floor. You hear a little bolt rolling around, so who knows. Okay, let's move these bikes, open the doors up, and chuck some oil in. Okay, clutch is locked out, it's not going to run away on me. Fuel tap on. Give that a minute for some to run down into the bowl. Can actually hear little air bubbles coming out, so that's good. It's got a little tickler valve, so we'll push that. You should get a little squirt of fuel. There we go, tiny little squirt of fuel out of there, that's good. Try the choke, why not? It's cold. Tiny bit of throttle, but not too much. Alright, let's see what she does, eh? Ooh, big nothing on that one. Yep, she's going to. I heard that little cough there. So that was test run number 1. This is going to be test run number 2. Yeah, that smoke worried me a little bit, but maybe that's just burning off from the inside of the bore. I'll pull it over again and turn it up, but there's no oil leaks, so that's a bonus. Okay, so the old camera battery went dead. Had this thing running for about 10, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes I suppose. Yeah, smoked a lot. Did start to clear, I thought, but then I was trying to figure out where it's coming from. Maybe I've overfilled the oil, I'm not really sure. I loosened the cap off and the oil filler blew up like there was pressure in the sump. So I don't quite know what's going on there. I've just taken this little ball bearing breather in here. It's not spring loaded, it's just the ball just sits in there, and that's free and all good. I've had the little side cover off the valve chest under here. Very, very oily up in the valves. I mean, that's a good thing, the valves are getting lubricated, so maybe I've just overfilled it with oil when I put that in. It's quite possible that I've got too much oil in my sump. So yeah, I'm just going to start it again and let it run for you a bit longer. We'll see if the smoke clears, I don't know. Put you on the tripod and we'll start it up again. Right, here we go. This will be the last one, and we're going to call this video done. It's running again. Yeah, it's got new rings in it, so I can't see anything that's gone wrong there. The compression's still pretty good. It was awesome when I was driving it up on the lawn with a little bit of smoke. Heaps of power back, so anyway. Fuel taps on still. Could have actually used all the fuel that was in it, because I didn't put much in there. I find with this, if it gets low, it doesn't like it, because the fuel pickup and the carburetor heights are not that different. What are we going to try? Give it another go. Holding that tip cord down there now, I think there's no fuel coming down to the car. Maybe we tip it a wee bit. That's better. Carb's full of fuel again now. I took the spark plug out and checked that. It's not excessively oily or carboned either, so that's good. Usual. What's different now? Loosen something up on that spark plug, it's unusual. It's weird to just be getting that one fire out of it and then stopping.